Welcome everybody to the month of No Shave-ember. So it's the month of November, and we're going to be talking about first Blizzard. Blizzard made some really drastic announcements from BlizzCon this week, and one of them, well, wouldn't call them such of an announcement, more of a DLC. We got Overwatch 2, and I'm sure a lot of you are really anticipating that. I mean,
yeah,
you would think Overwatch 2, a full game, new characters, bunch of new maps, new guns, bunch of new game modes. No.
What?
No. One new hero. One. Count that uno. One new hero.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more as the game progresses.
No.
No?
One new map, supposedly. And a new play mode that's literally a recreation of another play mode.
Oh.
Yeah. So, which is called push, which is pretty much just torting around a whatever thing to another area, which is
Yeah, it's basically a robot that's pushing a box forward.
Yeah. No. Sorry, Diablo. No. Diablo's the next one, but that was a fail. But Diablo actually was successful. We remember last year's announcement with y'all have phones, right? Well, that didn't happen this year, hopefully. At least it didn't. Did not happen. We got the actual announcement that we wanted last year, which was Diablo 4. Which was, the trailer was absolutely stunning. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It was one of the best trailers and intro footage to a game that looks amazing, and it adds so much more lore to the Diablo franchise with the introduction of Lilith. Now, Lilith was cast out into the void when she was trying to protect the Nephilim from being turned extinct, pretty much. But she has now been summoned back from the void, from the blood of three. There'll be three, and this whole three thing that goes on. It's a really cool intro. Go check it out.
But it's 4.
But the ritual that they do.
But it's 4. It should be the almighty 4.
So just like the last one, you are going to be able to have a 4-person campaign with your friends, and there's an overworld map now, which you can explore. And there's obviously a number of dungeons and endgame dungeons. But the really cool thing is there's going to be actually be able to interact with people online when you're playing, because it's going to be true open world. Now,
so it's going to be like, there's going to be like servers with multiple people on it at a time?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Plus your group.
Plus your group or just you.
So okay, kind of like an MMO, but not.
Not really. So the way it works is when you're playing the basic story mode is that when you're going through the towns in certain areas for the first time, you are locked into your own separate area. Nobody else is in there. Okay. Once you have beaten those areas, then when you go back to them, now everybody is there. And this allows for an overworld where other people are interacting for PvP, PvE, and overworld bosses that a group people can interact with and defeat or whatnot. Which is
we know
really
some
cool.
people that would love some PvP.
Yes, which is really cool. Well, PvP.
That's what I said.
Yeah, PvP. So
PvP.
Talk about you. Yeah. So yeah, the PvP people are definitely out there that want to have some PvP with other players in Diablo. I'm sure this is a much needed thing for a lot of people. And we also got 3 classes to start with. We got the Sorcerer, we got the Barbarian, and the Druid. Now the Druid is something completely new because we can go on the Barbarian and the Caster, which is the Sorcerer, but you pretty much know what you're going to get with them. Now the Druid is something kind of new. You can transform into a Werebear or a Werewolf.
Werebear?
Werebear.
That sounds kind of funny.
So we also got a whole new set of skill trees and different paths for you to take your character down as you're going down that skill tree, which is really cool. A new design on the UI completely, which is really cool. We needed obviously an update because it's been kind of the same for a while, for the last couple of games. Then the one thing also with this whole overworld thing, the main developer was speaking at BlizzCon, and she said, obviously there's a number of you out there, and I want to point out myself, that love to play games by myself. Even online games. Now, so she said if you actually like playing these games all on by yourself, there's 100% you can. You don't have to interact. You can join guilds and don't have to interact with the guild ever. You can just use their bank if you want. You never have to actually interact with other people, and there's also the ability to text instead of voice chat. So, and for people that do like playing with their friends, they actually added for the console versions 2-player co-op.
Oh wow.
Couch co-op. So there is that on the consoles. They haven't announced exactly what consoles yet, but I would guess like Switch, PS, PlayStation, and Xbox. So that's probably a given. They're all coming out on.
Stadia.
Oh, and Stadia maybe. We'll see. So another thing that's really cool is they're adding keys to the open world map. These keys, depending on what level they are, or what level you are when you get them, or get a hold of them, are keys to end level dungeons. So end level dungeons are regular dungeons you may have already went into, except if you have the key to get into that dungeon now, a special key, it changes the dungeon to an end game dungeon. And this allows for, depending on the key's value, a level that's really hard and has certain things, criteria, like there might be like these crazy mobs that are constantly coming after you. One of them even has this weird glowing stone that constantly follows you around the whole dungeon and tries to kill you, and you can't actually do damage to it.
And you have to survive the whole time?
Yes.
That's interesting.
It's really hard. So that's one of the third levels they're calling of dungeons now, along with random generation of dungeons that's always been. They're also allowing for random generation of events to happen within dungeons, which could be 2 boss fights, or a boss fight 5 minutes after you get into a dungeon, or something crazy like that. Like there's going to be lots of cool random events that are very spontaneous, and they've gotten rid of the loading times 100% while you're in dungeons. Whatever level of dungeon you're going into, like the 3rd floor, 4th floor, no loading times anymore.
So you go through that portal, you're already there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it 100% randomly generated the whole level once you walk in there, I'm guessing. So just really, really cool. And as far as we know, we don't know have a date or anything else yet, but it's so far, it compares to obviously the last Diablo with a little bit more, a lot more, I should say. And
except that open auction system they had there.
Oh, the open auction.
Making money off of it.
Yes, which the guilds, I guess, are going to have kind of the same thing as well. But we'll see about that, though. I am really anticipating this game because I think it's really cool. I definitely going to play most time by myself, but I am going to be really into the fact that the open world and joining into a giant boss battle where it's going to take multiple people, maybe 9 or 10 people, to defeat this boss in the open world to get some really cool armor and stuff like that.
That'd be cool.
And and we only got 3 classes to start with. I wonder what the other ones are going to be. I'm hoping the Necromancer comes back because that's one of my favorite classes in Diablo 3 right now. So that's Diablo 4. As more news breaks, remember to check out the podcast. But until then, let's move on to other news.
If you're looking for the latest and greatest in gaming and tech news and more, check out the getTekt podcast on Google Play, iTunes, and all other major podcast providers.
Now it's on to other news. So it's daylight saving time once again, and a lot of us either lose sleep or gain sleep. And one of the things that we use to wake us up a lot, most of us do anyway, is our phones. Well, Motorola is coming out with their new Razr. Yeah, new Razr phone. You remember that phone you had back in the 90s or early 2000s when it came out?
I had one.
So
that was blue.
The flip phone Razr, I think everybody and their mother had one, as far as I can remember. And it had, obviously, just a flip phone, the T9 texting and all that fun stuff.
That chrome touchpad.
Yes. So now the new Razr from Motorola is going to have a full screen. When you flip that open, the whole thing's going to be a screen.
Another bendable screen.
And when you close it, that spot on the outside where your time used to be, or you might have a message notification thing, it used to be like that, well, that's going to be a screen too.
Yeah.
And it looks like from the leaked photos, you're going to be able to use that screen for FaceTime also.
Oh, okay.
Or a selfie cam, or just a camera in general. And they ain't the first to actually start with this whole dual screen, flip screen, whatever you want to call it. We just covered a Nubia Z20, I think it was Z20, Z22 or something. Their screen has 2 screens as well, on the front and the back.
Oh, yeah.
And Samsung's Fold, which is now just come out, has 2 screens, and so far it's successful.
Yeah.
The new model.
The new model, because months ago they came out with the first edition and it was just a failure. So many issues. The phone didn't last long. It couldn't handle the bending and closing, and then the infamous screen protector.
Yeah.
But it wasn't supposed to be a screen protector. Don't peel it off.
Don't peel it off. It's not a screen protector.
And then they had the Xiaomi one that I don't even know if it's out yet. That
hasn't come out yet. That is coming out soon. Right. So that's going to be coming out. So we have a number of flip phones on the market. This is the only problem, including the Razr Flip Phone. For you nostalgic people out there that make a good amount of money, well, you can afford it. It's going to be about $1,500, along with some of these other phones that are about $2,600.
$1,500.
So a lot of these flip phones are really, really pricey right now, and the reason why is because this is leading edge technology. Yeah. So we got to expect this. And as the time goes on, they are going to drop down in price, and eventually some person's going to come out and go, hey, I got one for $400 or $500 when the screen technology is accessible to most developers at a reasonable cheap price where they can still make a profit.
Well, that's such as the Axon came out. Remember Axon? They had a dual screen flip phone. It was just 2 separate screens, but it was pricey. Now you can get them really cheap, like $300. Like,
yeah, and Amazon also came out with one too. That was 2 screens. That kind of failed and flopped. That was fairly cheap, but I mean, it's new. If you haven't checked out, if you want to check out more about the Samsung one, the Linus Tech Tip one's really good. Especially if you have the money, I would say it's definitely worth it at the time as of right now. But if you're nostalgic for a Razr phone, back when you were got your first cell phone, and I'm sure it was a Razr, especially if you come from the early 2000s, you're gonna want this phone. Well, you might want to fork over some extra cash if you want to get a hold of this phone.
So this week, some images were leaked of the phone, and it looks pretty nice. It literally has the same like form factor as the Razr.
The original Razr.
Like when you open it up, it's like, wow, it's got the little grill marks and everything like it had for the speakers and stuff. And when you close it, it looks a little funny when it's closed. It looks a little, it's not as narrow as it was. It's a little fatter, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah, well, they got 2 logic boards, 2 screens.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there, 2 cameras, actually 3 screens technically.
But
so
it's probably gonna be pretty, for what it is, it's pretty thin.
Yes.
So it might be one of the thinner phones. They got a lot of information going into that little speaker area going on.
Yes. So, and whether how easy it is to fix, we'll see what the high fix-it rating is, because that's a big factor in this day and age, because people like to fix their phones.
Yeah.
So, if you're nostalgic for that old Razr phone you have, it might be sitting up in your attic right now, or in a box under your bed, who knows where. Well, it's coming back, and if you can afford it, well, it might be worth it. And for more news, go check out the getTekt podcast every week, live at 5 o'clock on Twitch. Go check it out. The links will be below. And remember, when you're watching this video, if we've informed you this week on some news you maybe didn't catch, or just got a little bit of a snippet of it, well, remember, like, comment, and subscribe.